Hi, it's Nancy welcoming you to Garden Scroll. Today is August the 16th, and just about a month ago I said that it was the most color we've had in July since I've been gardening, and I can definitely tell you it's the most color we've had in the garden in August since I've been gardening. We have had enough rains. We haven't had any too much rain, and we could always use some more, but we've had enough rains this season to make it a wonderful season of gardening. We've had plenty of time, or plenty of color, just plenty of beautiful color in the garden. I kind of lost my train of thought there trying to get that butterfly picture, but we have had so much color in the garden this year, and I'm so happy about that. You know how I love color. I do. And look at this color. Come to talk of color. This is the Bush Morning Glory. I forgot what I had planted here, and I was thinking that it might be the globe flower, but I put a bunch of it here. But I think that's going to be beautiful if it all blooms at the same time. It's really going to be beautiful. But it's even pretty just to see one of these brightly colored little flowers. And I went to Lowe's this weekend, and they had their mums. They already had their pansies out, so I didn't get any pansies yet, but I did get this beautiful mum. I have some that are kind of a mauve color, but this looks really pink, and it was called a pink mum. Isn't that beautiful? And I also purchased a stand. I've been wanting to be able to put this beautiful foxtail fern. I've been wanting to put it up higher than the others so it could just show off. It's kind of been down low enough that you just see the tips of it and you don't see how very beautiful it truly is. But now you can. I was able to find a tall plant stand for it. So I'm on my way to go to the other side of that little foxtail fern, but in the process, look, I've got some more of my I'm going to forget what this is called. And what is this? Oh, this may not be good. May not be a good sign. I'm not sure what that is, but I might need to spray out here or do something. But oh, what is this? I know, and I can't think of it. Well, I'll put it on there for Astrolameria. That's what it is. Isn't it pretty? And look at this pretty pink, light pale pink mandevilla. Isn't that pretty this morning? But here's the other side of that beautiful foxtail fern. So pretty. I love it. It started out as a scraggly little thing and stayed that way for quite a few years. But little by little it became beautiful. As beautiful as my friend Oma's, and hers is the one that just made me want one of these so badly. So pretty. And these are my little homely homers, which I just can't do tomatoes for some reason, but never say never. I'm going to keep trying. But I did get a few small tomatoes off of it. And my seed boxes, I'll go across over here and tell you what they're doing where you can see them a little better. But this one has, I think, four little seedlings coming up, and that's it. But this one has bukus of little seedlings coming up, and I thought these were all zinnias, and look, as I'm looking, I'm seeing that these are also Bells of Ireland. These are Bells of Ireland. I thought these were zinnias the last time they came up. This is a zinnia, but most of these I'm pretty sure are actually more of the Bells of Ireland. So I'm a little disappointed. I love the Bells of Ireland, but I wanted these. I planted a lot of zinnias here, and I'm not seeing. This one is a zinnia. This one is. So there's a few there, but there's not so many like I thought there was gonna be. And these look like little cosmos seedlings, so we'll have some of those also. I tried to put a Mexican sunflower down here, and even though I know even if it should come up, I don't know if it will have time to actually bloom and I could get seeds from it, but I'm hoping still that it will. So that's the way the seed box is going. But I thought I would get a few more pictures and a few little clips to use on a post, because it's still hot outside, but it's overcast, and so that makes pictures turn out a lot better sometimes, because you don't have the shade and the white out and all that stuff. Although, like I've said before, sometimes that sunlight on a plant just brightens it up, and then it's wonderful when it just kind of lights it up from the inside. But most usually the better pictures come when it's overcast. This little plant is my bougainvillea. So it's got one big long bloom, and it's in this little pot here with this little dove and this coleus. And this is part of it right here, and this is the part that bloomed. So far, this is the only part of it that bloomed for me this year. It's still hot and muggy out though, but I want to get a few pictures just because the colors are popping today, and there's even more signs of fall. Even though we can feel summer all around us, we can also feel that fall is closing in. It won't be long now. I wish our summers were cooler. Wouldn't that be wonderful? To be able to enjoy the beauty of the garden for longer periods of time, because here in Oklahoma, truly we have a very short time in spring when you're so busy getting it all put in, and then just a very, very short time in fall before it's time to bring stuff in. And frost comes and takes it out, so it's just not enough time to enjoy all the beauty of a garden. Can you see the little black flecks on this plant? I think that is where a black blister bug used the bathroom. And I think that's what, I was wondering what that brown stuff was over on the other side of the house where my flowers are. And I think that was where a grasshopper had gone. So anyway, I sprayed for those, and hopefully, I know that those little black blister bugs just love these celotias. And the gray ones just love my clematis. If I don't get them first, they'll get it every time. I haven't yet given my friend Ruby this little pot, but this is hers. And I just wanted to make sure it already had its little root going, but you can see they do now. Some of them do. They're just standing up a little taller, like they're standing at attention. And they'll start filling out and overflowing before long. It looks like the butterflies are enjoying today too. I could get it in focus so you can see them. I just love zinnias, from the tall ones to the small ones. And all the beautiful colors. And of course the bees and butterflies and hummingbirds love them too. I also trimmed off the little branches that were coming up on the bottom part of the trunk of my golden chain tree, and I've often wondered, why are these not all over Oklahoma if they will grow here? Because in the spring they have chains of golden blooms hanging off of them, but I do realize that it does have some problems. I have to spray it for webworms, and I can see right now that its color, I don't think this is really because of fall, but it could be. I don't know that its fall color would be here this soon though, so it may not, I don't know, but it's a pretty tree when it's in bloom. It just doesn't seem to always be healthy here, so that may be why there's not a lot of them, but it is a beautiful tree and a beautiful bloom. Look at this beautiful red crepe myrtle. I think it's kind of like you either have one or you want one. The first time I saw this red crepe myrtle, I knew I wanted one. Of course, I still think that this beautiful little peppermint lace crepe myrtle can't be beat. It always stayed smaller for me and took longer to grow, and then because of our freeze, it went back down to the bottom again. But it's fairly good size for as slow as it's been growing. But I just love it that it came back at all. It's so pretty. And last night I just had to go ahead and fill out this little pot. It looks so scraggly, I just couldn't stand it any longer. But I don't know if these will last, because if the heat comes on, they won't. They don't have a root. Well, other than this little zinnia here, it has a root, and there are some other seedlings in there. I don't know what they will do, but we will see. But I did go ahead and put some of the sedum in it, and they're putting on their little bloom heads, or buds, I guess you would call them. But they're so pretty. It looks good right now. I hope it stays looking good. And even though it's hot, because we have an overcast sky today, I think they still have a chance. Look at this zinnia. I took my seeds to my granddaughter this weekend also. Look, my white crepe myrtle is blooming. Who knew it would get this big again? I had my husband trim it way down, and it's as big as it was last year, so it's a fast grower evidently. Some of the dahlias are blooming. Get this pretty pinkish purple or purplish pink. And then this one is a purple and white. Kind of get around on this side of this one so you can see it better. So we do have some lovely color in the garden. This little pot was also looking extremely shabby, so I did go ahead and cut some things off in it, and I put some, you can see this one's getting a little bit wilty. It's just still too hot, but it may still work too, so we'll see. And I left this little geranium in there, so maybe it will go ahead and put on some color for us too later on in the early fall, hopefully. I had done this one once before and it didn't make it. It may not make it again, but I did go ahead and put a few more right here in the front, and they are looking wilted. So, but if they'll get their root down, they'll still work. And I've got a little more color in here now. It looks a little better, so I'm hoping that it will continue to look good. This is that Baptisia or false indigo little bush or little plant that looks like a bush. So pretty. I love this pretty little bush form of it. And in the spring, of course, it has these are full of little white bud or bloom that looks like a bud. And look at the Henry Eilers Rudbeckia this morning. Isn't it shining? Showing off for us. And I took some more little starts out of this little container, and it still has plenty in it. I just moved them away from her face a little bit, and it looks great, as does the ones, or as do the ones that I put the starts into. I need to trim this one down and put it in, just clip it off right about here and put it down here, and that'll make it thicker and fuller, and I think it'll just look better. But I wanted to wait until I'm a little more sure that it's going to make it. And I may have already showed you this, but I'm going to get some succulents and some ground covers to try to use those in these pots, because I need something that will stay pretty all season, where I don't have to just keep changing it out. But I love this little plant. I don't know if it will work for what I'm hoping it will, but it's certainly worth a try. And I found this little stand. I got my, this is my polymer prints and my autumn embers begonias. And oh, I hope they do good. I hope they live for me. And not only, they usually do pretty well for me outside. But when I bring them in, that's a whole nother story. So I'm hoping they will live. And then, this is the one I told you my friend Alma gave me, and it looks so good. I love this little, it's like a filigree fern, so pretty. It's called an artillery fern. And I trimmed this little 3-tiered pot back once, and you can't even tell I did. Now it needs trimming again, but I'm gonna try to wait until it's a little cooler in the season, and maybe I can transplant some of this stuff like this beautiful diamond frost euphorbia. Look at that, isn't that gorgeous? I love it when it just piles up like this, and it looks like little lights, little tiny lights, like we're getting ready for Christmas. Isn't that pretty? And my calabachoa so far has made it in this little pot. 2 of them anyway. I had a white one in there, and it feels like I may have had one other color in there too, but these are the only ones that made it. But this may mean that I should plant my calabachoa over here where it gets some shade. It's a dappled, sunlight or dappled shade because of the weeping willow tree, that it seems to have done well here. So next year I may try the calabachoa in this little pot and see what it will do. I just love that stuff, and I would love for it to always grow and stay in the garden, not come and stay pretty in June and then go away. With this diamond frost euphorbia, and this is not, I don't think this is actually called the diamond frost. There's another one, and I'm not sure what the name of it is, but this is slightly smaller, but it's just still so pretty. And then this is the other little stand that I purchased this weekend. And I've also got a little bird, a little white bird to set right here beside this birdhouse. And I'm going to fill that up with some succulent. My husband just put a hole in it for me. So I will do that hopefully today. My little petunias in the little pyramid planter are doing pretty good. They're filling it out pretty well and just looking good. And I wanted to show you this. I had a Kniphofia, or the red hot poker, only this is a yellow one that bloomed for me. When I planted it there, I know what I was thinking, even though I don't exactly remember it. I'm sure I was thinking, oh, how pretty that will be with this purple and that yellow growing up there right beside it. And these little pots probably do need to be thinned out. Again, I'm going to try to wait until it's a little cooler, but oh, look at the beautiful purple splash pepper. I wanted them all to do this, and I think I only got 3 that lived. And there's this one, and then one in the front. I went ahead and chopped it down, my little 9 bark. I hope it will come up again from the root, but I don't know if it will. And I don't know what happened to it. It must have been some type of fungus. It was beautiful one day, and then the next day, or the next time I noticed it, which couldn't have been too many days away from the time that I noticed it being beautiful with all of its wonderful color, and yet the next day it was wilted, totally wilted, and then it just totally lost all of its leaves except one, and I was hoping, well, maybe there's life in there. If there's one live thing in there, there's life in there. But it never came back. So the one that was alive went ahead and died. So I went ahead and trimmed it off, and now my hope is that it will come back from the root, but we will have to wait and see on that. Look at the white crepe myrtle from this direction. Isn't that pretty? So many blooms. This pretty little sedum will be bringing in the butterflies before long. Look at this lovely rose. There's my brother's ashtray I put out here for him, but he's gone, and he died from lung cancer, so that should tell you, if you can, to please stop smoking. But I mean, I know it's hard. I know that anything that is addictive is very, very hard. I don't know how anybody quits, but sometimes the Lord does give people that whatever it takes, a miracle to be able to quit. Look at this little earth sign plant. I didn't think it would live. I've told you that before, but it looks even better now than it did when I told you before. And I also, this one had the purslane weed growing up in it, and I took it out several times. So I took it out one more time, and I put these little clippings of coleus and the cousin to the coleus, that little green plant. Kind of has a fuzzy, felty feel to it. So we'll see how they will do there, and maybe they'll choke those weeds out, I'm hoping. Oh, and I've been forgetting to show you, but remember our little castor bean, how it was like right here at the bottom of this little tomato cage, and it of course grew all the way up the tomato cage and kept going and going and going and going, and now it also has its little seed pods on there, and I think they will turn just a bright ruby red. They have in the past. But isn't this a pretty plant? It is poisonous, I've heard, so you don't want to get children or pets close to it, although honestly they don't bother it. We've had neighbors' cats to come out here and roam through the garden. They've never bothered it. I think they know not to, but I'm not telling you to go ahead, but just use your own discretion whether you want one or not. But I love having it in the garden. These big old leaves are just so amazing. You know, some people have made planters and use one of these for their pattern. Wouldn't that make a beautiful, I'm sorry, not planters, but stepping stones out of this, or a bird bath. I've seen both of those made out of one of the leaves of different plants, like a giant hollyhock leaf is also pretty, but this would have to be right up there in one of the most big and beautiful foliage leaves that I've seen. Look at the Dachandra or Dacandra, however that's pronounced. So pretty. Another sign of fall are these pretty seed heads on the celotias. A few of the coleus are blooming and looking good, but for the most part, when the heat comes on, this is how they look. And I know it does look bad. There's one over there on that fence too. But I still think they're worth having in the garden for that beautiful bloom. And in the spring, before the heat comes, they are so gorgeous. This little autumn clematis or clematis is beginning to bloom. So hopefully before too long we'll have a tower of beautiful white blooms. This is the diamond frost euphorbia, and it does usually get a little bigger than the other one. They haven't done well in this little tiny coconut liner pot. This is the first time I've tried them, so I wasn't sure how they would do there. But they're still pretty there, but these can just make such a big, beautiful showing. There's also one in this one, and the same with it. It's just not very big, but it's, I don't know if you can even see the pretty little white light flowers on it, but I may need to take those and put them somewhere where they can really shine. But they're pretty here too. We'll see, depending on the time and if I find another place that I think I would like them best. Look at this little ballerino yarrow. I trimmed that back. I wasn't sure if it would put on another flush of bloom, but it has. Not as big of a flush of bloom, but still very pretty. So I think I'm going to go in and ask Google if I can trim my passion vine down, or if that would cause me to lose my bloom, because I would like to get it out of this little girl's face and keep it from just taking over the whole fence and going over my neighbor's yard, into my neighbor's yard. But we'll see. I don't want to cut off my bloom, but definitely, if it wouldn't hurt to trim it, it needs to be trimmed. But I'm anxious to see those blooms, if it does bloom. And of course, this is blooming right now, but this is a Mexican flame vine. This is another little plant I purchased, this red salvia, and I have had it in the garden before, and it's a little different. I have some red salvia in the garden now, but this is a little different. It stays a little smaller, doesn't grow so tall, but it does come back. It's a perennial, although it didn't come back, and not because of the late freeze, because this one didn't come back last year, and I actually have been looking for it for quite some time to replace it, because I do want it back in my garden. So hopefully this one will do well and grow up there and just be a little beauty. And I've already shown you, I'm going to interrupt this little butterfly, but I've shown you that there is a little aloe vera down here that my sister gave me, and since I know they will not live through the winter, I did get a little pot for it and for this little plant right here. You got a clay pot for them. I'm going to try this. This one, when I brought it out, was practically dead, and yet it wasn't. So I thought I'm going to just put it in there with the rest of those succulents and see what will become of it. And it became its own little beautiful little plant. So I'm going to try putting those in little pots too and letting them get their roots settled in, and then I'll take it inside. And you know what, that could be the last I'll see of it, but I hope that's not the case. I hope I can get it to grow and bring it out and keep it for years to come, but we'll see how that will go. And this little salvia growing up right here is the other red salvia that I have in the garden, and I like them both. This one is not as woody a salvia as the one I just showed you. So actually I do want both of them in the garden. You can tell that some of the tall phlox is losing its bloom, but there's still plenty of it to look beautiful and be attractive to the hummingbird moths. Okay, it's hard to chase down a butterfly. Okay, I have my little bird on there. Isn't it sweet, and has its succulents in it? And I took that one little, I think this is a Mexican hen and chicken, but I'm not sure. But anyway, it's in its little pot now, and I'm going to let it stay outside as long as I can. Probably, well, actually, I'm taking things in September. I've made that decision, and I'm going to go through with it because I think maybe I was taking my plants in too late is what caused my houseplants to not make it. But that may have nothing to do with it. It's still just maybe me and my house, but we'll see, because I'm bringing them in September sometime, even if it's the last part of September. They're coming in September, Lord willing. And then my little aloe vera plant that my sister Rosie gave me is right here in this pot. I didn't realize there's 3 of them there till I transplanted. There's actually 3 little pups there. I might actually put the little one that's growing in mine in here with these, but I'm not sure. I may leave it in mine and let it grow together like my sister Kathy's did. She has several pups in one little container, and they looked so gorgeous. The last time I saw it, they did look like they were going to have to be divided, but they still looked good. And this little pot still looks great. I just tousled that little rose moss down where the blank spot or bare spot was, and it looks fine. Can't even tell that I took anything out of there. And you know you couldn't tell of the other one because it was hidden in there anyway. So now it can sit over here and shine. So what I found on Google was that it is okay to trim them, and it actually may even help them to bloom more. So I definitely wanted to get it out of this little girl's face, and it just looks so much neater. I need to spend some more time on them, but that's all the time I have to spend on them today. But it does look better, and it's not rising up over the fence and trying to go over into the neighbor's yard, so that's a good thing too. Please be sure to like and to subscribe to the channel.